You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, we're going to talk about one former New England Patriot, of course, the GOAT, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, because Tom Brady has peeled back the curtain on his Let's Go podcast as to who he believes should win the Most Valuable Player Award. And I'm not going to lie to you. Now, I'm a Niners fan, so I want to say I'm biased, but I kind of feel like he should win it. I mean, it's one of the greatest offensive seasons we've ever seen out of anybody, much less a running back. And so Tom Brady has peeled back the curtain on who his MVP favorite is. And we're going to talk about Bill Belichick because something has come out from Albert Breer of the MMQB, Bert Breer, of course, NBC Boston covers the Patriots, about Bill Belichick and one of the franchises, and in fact, it's the franchise that I thought was probably the slam dunk. If Belichick is leaving the Patriots, where he's going to go, the Commanders. And Bert Breer put some pause on that. All right? Not because Belichick might not want to go there. It's because the Commanders might not want him. And I find that very interesting, and it's not that they don't want him as a coach. It's that they may not want some of the non-coach. But basically the stuff surrounding Belichick as to why the Patriots might move on are the same reasons the Commanders wouldn't want him. The drafting, the personnel stuff, the GM stuff, the full control. They may not want to give that to him. So, and you've got to wonder, is there a scenario where Bill Belichick, if the Patriots do let him go, or they say, look, we're going to have to let you go or we're going to find a team to trade you to, that no franchise actually goes after him? That would be a sad turn of events, but I think it's possible. If they set back these franchises and they're objective about it, I think it's going to be a hard sell. I did a video yesterday where we found out Commanders, Chargers, Panthers fans on the local media stations in those areas are already overwhelmingly banging the drum for they don't want Bill Belichick as their head coach. I find that pretty interesting. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is the betting favorite at many sports books. This is NBC Boston, Sports Boston. He is having a fantastic season for the 49ers. They set atop the NFC standings, 11-3. I mean, Purdy's having an unbelievable year, and I don't buy into it's the system he's in. Every great quarterback ever played in a great system, generally speaking. Holmgren, Favre, Rodgers had McCarthy, but it was still the offshoot of the Andy Reid, John Gruden, just a great West Coast system. Brady, well, he had McDaniels, but, let's be real, McDaniels was considered a great OC. Now, once you dig into the numbers, you could dispute that. But nonetheless, I'm not going to subtract somebody out of the MVP conversation over being playing in a certain coach's system. Walsh, Montana, anybody, Belichick, Brady, a lot of times great coaches, great quarterbacks go hand in hand. Purdy has completed 69.8% of his passes, 3,795 yards, 29 TDs, 7 picks. The most deserving candidate might actually be his teammate, Christian McCaffrey. He's having a phenomenal campaign, leads the league, 1,292 yards, 324 more than any other player, 13 TDs, making a tremendous impact on the pass-catching side. 57 receptions, 509, 7 touchdowns. So on the Let's Go podcast, the future Hall of Famer made his case for McCaffrey. Quote, I remember the first time I actually got a glimpse of Christian was in the Rose Bowl. I can fully remember that game. Brady said he caught an angle pass against Iowa ran it for about a 75-yard touchdown. I was like, well, they're not going to catch him. He was a dynamic player then. He was a dynamic player now. And I think all of what he's done this year is a lot of what he's done in the past. He's absolutely right. I mean, when you get to looking at his past statistics, I mean, 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro. He's been in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year. This was back in 2019 with the Panthers. I don't know how he didn't win it that year. 2,392 yards from scrimmage, 19 touchdowns. What the hell were they voting on exactly? I would have to go back and see who won it that year. I really don't care. Wow. That's pretty unbelievable. He had 116 catches that year. Had 107 the year before that. And so this year, 1,801 yards, 20 touchdowns. I mean, this guy is an offensive machine. And it reminds me of this guy, Marshall Faulk. Anybody remember him? 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, Hall of Famer, MVP in 2000. And he nearly won the MVP 3 seasons in a row. He was number 2, number 1, and number 2. Yards from scrimmage, 2,227, 2,429, 2,189. The year he won it, he had 26 touchdowns. The next year he had 21, finished a runner-up. That shows you exactly how great Marshall Faulk was. Because look at these numbers, and you think about how good McCaffrey is, and he's still not even close. I mean, he's a couple of years he flirted, and that year he certainly was right there. By the end of this year, he'll be right there. But Faulk had he had 4 in a row where he had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Twice had over 20 touchdowns. It's pretty unbelievable what Marshall Faulk did. This is the betting favorites. Minus 250. I mean, Brock Purdy's the guy right now. McCaffrey is plus 1,100 back in, he's back in 5th place right now. So now McCaffrey is leading for Offensive Player of the Year. Tyreek Hill's right behind him. So, and Tyreek's having a big year, but it would be Christian's award running away if it was up to me. So I found that interesting that Tom Brady come out and said he thought it was Christian McCaffrey, not a quarterback. Because obviously it's become a quarterback award, and I don't love that. I think a wide receiver ought to be able to win it if he's got the numbers and the contribution to his team. And I honestly think a defensive player should be in the conversation. You know, Micah Parsons should have been in that conversation. J.J. Watt a few years ago should have been in the conversation. And I think it was in the conversation to a point, but not nearly seriously enough. I am fed up with it being strictly a quarterback award. You know, I get that. I'm just, a lot of people are tired of that narrative and the way that's evolved into being a quarterback award. So, let's go over to Albert Breer. Multiple reports indicate the Patriots will part ways with legendary coach Bill Belichick this offseason one way or another. And the Washington Commanders, whom many expect to fire head coach Ron Rivera, are considered a possible landing spot for Belichick. I figure he's the favorite. That's the favorite spot anyway. There even were legitimate Belichick Commander trade rumors that popped up early in the season. While Belichick alone knows his personal preferences, the consensus is he will only join an organization that provides him the kind of all-encompassing power he enjoys in New England. He wants to shop for the groceries and cook the meals. But would the Commanders afford him such privileges? A new report from SI's Albert Breer put a dent in the Belichick to Washington speculation. Quote, Bill Belichick's name has popped up a lot in connection to the Commander's job. Breer wrote in a piece published Tuesday, and there's only one thing at play there that might be a hurdle to that happening. My sense is that the new owner, Josh Harris, won't hand the keys to the entire operation over to a single person. So if Belichick wants the power he has in New England, total power, he might have to look elsewhere. He goes on to talk about there's only 3 games left in the season. So that's an interesting report in turn of events. The idea that Josh Harris might not want to give it all to Belichick. And I don't blame any of these organizations if they don't. You know, there's a lot of talk right now that there's a scenario that with any of these organizations, even the Patriots, if he agrees to give up personnel power, they might heavily consider letting him have one more year. But you got all this cap room and all these draft picks, including what could be the first overall pick or the second overall pick or the third overall pick. Anyway, a coveted pick. Do you let him have that? What if he trades the pick? You know? I mean, we're talking Belichick. You look up, you've gotten an offensive tackle at number 2. Well, wait a minute. Drake May was on the board. Or Caleb Williams was on the board. Or Marvin Harrison Jr. was on the board. That's the risk you run in all this. You know? And maybe he pulls off some Houdini shit and makes the right moves and gets 3 extra picks and another first-round pick next year. Whatever. Trades out of it. But, man, if that happens, New England's sports landscape is going to literally implode on itself. The fans will go nuts. It will be a dumpster fire of epic proportions. Now, question is, does Josh Harris really mean this in Washington? Because there's absolutely a business aspect to it. We've talked about it. Spanos, who's cheap, but might weigh the business aspect. How much money would we make? And how much interest are we going to generate as a team having Belichick? Josh Harris going to feel the same way. Well, wait a minute. I can make how much money if Belichick comes in here for 3 years? We get how much interest? How much social media engagement? All that crap that they care about. So he might consider doing it. I don't know. I thought that's where he was going. Man, if that spot closes up, I don't know if there's a clear path for Belichick anywhere. That's interesting. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Is it Christian McCaffrey? Do you hold it against Brock Purdy? I see people talking about that. Not a chance. I'm not holding it against any quarterback in any system. I don't hold it against Patrick Mahomes that he plays for Andy Reid. You know? And if you're going to talk about system and offensive gurus, then you got to bring up Andy Reid too with Patrick Mahomes. It is what it is. Most great coaches have a great all-time player. Again, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Belichick. You know, tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.